So the judge and they explained that circus is kind of so they can leave, whatever, so tomorrow morning is the big court case. So I called the law clerk, that's how it works, called the judge, is now told me, called the judge, and called the front desk, called the law clerk and asked for the Zoom. He said, yeah. Oh, I was just told that she called the ombudsman's office. Called the ombudsman's office. She transferred me to the ombudsman. Now we have a deep husky man's voice. And he's like, all right, you got to fill out media requests. Please understand, I'm not requesting for I just want to watch. Yeah, no, I understand, but I still have to fill it out so I can tell you that you're not allowed to record or take pictures. What the hell are our tax dollars going for? I fill out the form. They send me the Zoom link. They say you're approved, but you're not allowed to record it. Crazy work. This was crazy. This is unusual for this board.
Is she on now? Should I call Mrs. Leeds?
It should be on.
That's how you can text.
Yeah.
Where's that light?
That red light right there on top of the street.
Tell me time? I always wonder how Ali had ready for that.
Ali knows all.
It should be on now, Mrs. Leeds.
No question.
All right, you're welcome.
I have always I don't know.
You're well working.
Because in my email, that's in like 2 years. Crazy stuff.
We got it through DEP, and then we had to shrink the road because the town couldn't get all the acquisitions. And then soil erosion decided to do the mother of all remediation, and then we had to. Good evening, sir. Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah. Believe it or not, if the right of way is not there, I mean, there's two options. Either you get the right of ways and easements put it in, or if the town is crazy about putting it in, I mean, you can go for condemnation, because it's very expensive and obviously.
Probably was really so low.
Yeah. Fortunately, it's Lakewood, the vast majority of people on sidewalk. We got a little time, we don't have a court yet. Let me try this. The ring authenticate thing, let's try.
Hey, Judah, how you feeling? You okay? Somebody he tells me you got 1 foot from grade. He tells me.
1 feet, 2 feet, 3 feet, it's all right.
You're
having enough trouble getting a form.
Yeah.
Where are you moving to? Just retiring?
Well, we will try, John. Hey, I'm not IT, but I play one on TV.
All right.
I officially
Trying to get online.
So now, how is construction? To work up that hill with the LIC. Gotcha.
Yeah, just find USB ports, okay? Do me a favor, it's my only port, on this fast to remember to take, or I'm in trouble.
This line and out, they're looking for permit for variance. They can make parking 10 feet. Look, this is this line, yeah? This is Amiga, this is you. They want to part. This is Amiga, they want for law. This has to be 60 feet. From the crossing. They want to put 10 feet. So they need to that's all they want. It's not about houses, not about market, it's not about nothing. They just need 10 feet. And they want to have a pool. That's all. For you, there's no permission.
Okay, I know. Do you have information about approve or not approve? Yes. Okay, if you can go, like you
Maybe I'll talk to this guy with the white hair.
okay.
But I have to, he has to come here.
So I still, before they
Where are you?
I had to call them.
No, he's from the unit for his permit.
And I reported their inspection responding to errors and finally I tracked down and took it out of this. So look at his
Okay. So, which is yours? Cornerstone.
I'm gonna send it. And then you pass.
I'm taking SPD, right, other side, I'll let them do all their engineering and do that. Then he tells me it's not in there, but how do we work with it?
Maybe they say no, maybe they say yes.
We will do whatever we want.
I'm surprised I'm being not here. She can complain.
Yes, I am. No,
I'm surprised you know.
oh,
Like you said, maybe they
very
pay
good, very good.
for this guy. She came, she quiet.
You're smart.
Yeah, because you tell me, yeah, that's true. You're right.
Did you, when you see engineers for Chana salary? The Chana I share with you, doing good work out there. Spoke to Steve, some execs from Chana, I got a statement, and writing up. They completed all the environmental stuff, they got the driveway, the middle of the application, and they're already clearing the site, and doing things. Yeah, none of those like big screens out there, you can actually see from super stop all the way to the big one. You see, yeah.
One second, Ryan, can I see you for a second? One second.
Everyone on the phone.
We have, as you notice, we have 5 minutes. What are you here for? Okay, that's it? This needs 4 votes in charge. So let's start fixing. What? Yeah. I had 3 days off.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we're for. Okay, fine. What? You're gonna go forward? Go ahead. Okay. What? Now I see. What's going? Use it, I use it. Yeah, I'll use it. Okay. So who am I waiting for? Which slide three? Which slide three?
Is he coming?
I don't know. He didn't tell me that he's not. Let me pull.
That's not on. They should have sectioned those. They'll probably, yes.
Yeah, because we have to live.
Yeah, and they'll have to be noticed.
And if they're just looking for a variance, that's fine.
I didn't see.
How you doing, all right?
So it sounds like the zoning board meeting's over at 9.
Yeah, about, yeah.
What we're really trying to do is get maybe some tech support here.
Or maybe this is the very
Could we just pick four to approve food tonight on
form a lottery prize. You're on the internet. When you're on the internet and it calls up the name or the user ID and password, which is like the second stage.
Yes, we had
But
five.
it's-
We only did five.
You wanna show me how to
You can check and see if you're still logged in, I'm guessing you are. If you access a web page, hit the refresh, you can see the refresh.
No.
Hit the refresh. Yeah, you have to be on the refresh. It wouldn't refresh.
Yeah. They don't yet.
New screen, I want to throw there. This is not the way I want. It's just so.
It is. I think we should get a big screen over here. So, I think the percentage on screen, I agree.
Okay.
That's it.
She's having a hard time with one.
When you get to the second stage, and ask me for I think you're already on that. you're trying to get the Lakewood website? No, that's public information.
Good, yes, it is. I love that.
You're already there, so don't worry about it. Are you trying to go to the side? Okay, all right, see.
Come on, that's like 2 months. Is that the one, 2 months? All right, well, the two that Aaron asked me to hold off on. All right, 95, you want to hold off on verbal again. Why is that? Hey, there he is.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the next meeting to order. Next meeting is advertised on the New State Sunshine Law. Madam Secretary, please.
Mr. Gelli. Mr. Lieberman.
Yes, here.
Langley. Mr. Naftali. Mr. Ribbiat.
Yes.
Mr. Inger. Mr. Inger.
Here.
Mr. Gross. Mr. Halberstam.
Here. I'll be seeing Mr. Ingber in lieu of a couple of members that's missing. I'd like to ask everyone to please rise to salute the flag. Please do the pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic, which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Thank you. Madam Secretary, I'm sorry, can I have approval of the minutes for September 13th meeting? Motion by Motion Langkry, can I have a second?
Second.
Second, Judah Ribbiat. Oh, you want it, can I have a second?
Second.
Second, Motion Lieberman. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Gelli is not here. Mr. Lieberman.
Yes.
Mr. Inger.
Yes.
And Mr. Halberstam.
Yes. Any correspondence on tonight's meeting?
Yes.
Go ahead.
4160 Diamond Communications, they're requesting to carry until the January 3rd meeting.
And the reason why
We
they
want
asked
to
the
get another
request?
site.
Any reason why?
Yes, we're trying to get another site.
Oh, they're trying to get another site? Okay. Is everyone okay with them carrying tonight's meeting? Okay, can I have a motion? Motion by Motion Langkry, second by Motion Ingber. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Motion by Weiss.
Motion Weiss.
Much and much, okay, much and much.
Again.
Okay, Mr. Gillies, yeah, Mr. Lieberman,
Yes.
Mr. Langley. Mr. Ribbiat.
Yes.
Mr. Ingber.
Yes.
And Mr. Halberstam.
Yes. Anyone that's here for appeal number 4160 Diamond Communication, that'll be heard at our next meeting, which will be
No,
November.
that will be
January.
January.
Oh, January?
January 3rd, 2022, and we're carrying it until then.
Without further notice?
No, I did.
Jerry?
Well, since it'll be 3 months, I would suggest that they have
Notice.
notice.
Oh, with the waiver of time?
Waiver of time they agreed to, but I would suggest that we tell them that they renotice.
Okay, perfect. So they have to renotice. So please put on the record and let Diamond Communication know they have to renotice for their next meeting. I might have them decide anyway at the time.
So that's what it's all about.
So then, they're for sure gonna have to renotice.
Mr.
Perfect.
Chairman, there was also an objector on that, and we did get communication that they did notify the objector's attorney on that
Yeah,
one.
and you, yeah, no
And
objection.
they agreed to it, so I.
Excellent. Perfect. Anything else?
No, yes, 4198.
Yes.
KBS, they're not proceeding, they're waiting for a traffic report.
And who's representing 4198?
Adam
KBS?
Pepper.
Adam Pepper is not here. So we're gonna respond with waiver of time and without further notice?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, can I have a motion? Anyone have any objections to that?
Well, let me say, wait a minute, November 8th is the next meeting.
November 8th is the next meeting? Okay, no further notice with waiver of time. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion from Judah Ribbiat, can I have a second?
Motion.
Mike Schlangenfried, Madam Secretary?
Mr. Lieberman?
Yes.
Mr. Langley?
Yes.
Mr. Ribbiat?
Yes.
Mr. Inger?
Yes.
Mr. Halberstam?
Yes. anything else? There's
Yes.
two more.
4213, 4201, Mordecai Icahn.
4201, yes, Mordecai Icahn,
Yeah, there were problems with that application,
okay.
and he cannot get her tonight.
He's agreed to waive the time period within which would be met.
And without further notice?
That's correct.
Excellent. Can I have a motion for postponement of 4201?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Langley, second. Judy Rubia, Madam Secretary. That's to 11A.
Yes.
8.
Okay,
Yes.
go ahead, Madam Secretary.
One, Mr. Lieberman,
Yes.
Mr. Langley.
Yes.
Mr. Ribbiat.
Yes.
Mr. Inger.
Yes.
And Mr. Halberstam.
Yes.
I have
we have
one
more.
more, 4213, they did not advertise correctly.
Okay, so there's no postponement on it, it'll just be heard on 40, that'll just be heard on November 8th,
And there'll be a new notice.
and it will be.
Yeah, they have to
noticed.
notice, yes.
Perfect, fine, done. Okay. Okay, so anyone that's here for appeal number 4213, 4201, 4298,
4198.
4198, all those will be heard on November 8th here at this courtroom.
And
4160 will be heard at January 3rd, at the New Year.
2022.
Yeah, the New Year, 2025. Yes. Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
4201 on old business, next meeting, I told you, sorry.
Which one?
4201 for old business.
No, it's not old business, it's a new application.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Which one was that?
That's, what do you have for 4201?
4201.
It hasn't been heard yet.
Okay, so it'll be next on the list anyway, so
It'll be
you
on
might be
next-
the first.
it'll be on next.
We'll do all this one first. What? Okay, excellent, let's move on. Now, the first up I see is, 4174, Jacob Hermelstein, but, that's Adam Pfeffer, and he's not here. 58 Drake Road, 4121A, that's also Jacob Hermelstein, he's not here. Orange Pool, 4197, Orange Pool Holding, also, Adam Pfeffer, is that also Adam Pfeffer?
Yes.
And he's not here either, so that brings us to 4196 Cornerstone Suites. And who's that one? Miriam Kulak.
We're here.
Does everybody have? Plans? Does anybody need anything? Yeah.
All we need is that we need these delivered to back now. Yes. This is once approved before, this is just, before we continue, before we continue, Mrs. Weinstein, you realize we only have 5 members here tonight, and this is a renewed use variance. And you're going to go forward with 5 variants, when you need 5 votes?
We don't want to go forward. Anyone who knows how to make this microphone?
I didn't hear that. Are you on?
It's not working? Maybe you take over the schmatter.
Mr. Chairman, 4196 Cornerstone Suites, LLC.
Is something there, is there a switch on these? Is there a green light on? No. On the current pickup?
Yell into the mic, see?
No, it doesn't work. The green light is not on.
Oh, yeah.
It's not working.
Yeah, no
It
problem.
says push.
See, this plug is in.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very
Not
much.
Is it on?
No,
No.
it's not canceled.
Try it now. We'll keep it trying.
Mary, for this, can you take this?
Just see if the green light kicks on.
We're doing Cornerstone, 4196.
Well, we can all,
All right, we'll manage it.
do you need that for recording purposes? I mean, we can all hear what she's saying.
Just talk loud.
Yeah. All right. Like
It's
a roll.
not working, it's not working.
Mr. Flannery, you want to raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth? So we got-
I do, Brian Flannery Jackson, New Jersey, licensed professional engineer, professional planner.
Did they read it? You didn't read it.
4196 Cornerstone Suites, LLC, 138, 142 John Street, Block 768, Lots 5, 51, 69. Use variance requested for the construction of an office building. From Terry Vogt, September 27th.
It's working. It's green.
The applicant is currently seeking site plan approval for the purpose of constructing an office building. Project is located on John Street, Property is located on John Street, bounded by Lakeview Place on the south. That's it. No roof bulk variances. Looks like 4148 was the original,
Yes.
and they already received use. This is just site plan.
This was the one with the septic?
Yes.
That's right.
They got rid of the septic?
Everybody was paying attention that night. This is good.
Actually, they were talking about, should they get a pump station, because it will go uphill, it can't.
Let us give the testimony. Let us start. We'll give the testimony. I want everyone to know that.
Guys, I have some board members that want to.
I want everyone to know the green light is on, but the microphone does not appear to be working.
We can hear you, we can hear you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, Mary Weinstein on behalf of the applicant, 27 Suites LLC.
Mary, 1 minute. I have the resident if you want to see the use variance.
Okay, that's all,
Yeah.
thank you.
Just this one, so, yeah, please. Okay, sorry.
No problem. So as it seems everybody recalls, which is good, we did come before this board seeking use variance approval for most of this site. Actually, it was in June 2020, so it wasn't that long ago, under appeal number 4148. At that time, the applicant was Washington Management. The board granted use variance approval at that time to construct an office building in this residential zone. At the time, we provided testimony that the property is about a few lots off of Route 9 with virtually no residential uses on the block. Brian, I'm sure will re-provide this testimony, but there's a shopping center across the street, a church, and an apartment project on this block. We are now adding one additional lot to the project, so in point of fact, we are seeking use variance approval this evening, and we know that. But I just want the board members to understand that the office building use you already granted to us a while back. All we're really doing here is adding a lot. In addition, as somebody else aptly pointed out, back in 2020, you did ask the applicant to try to get water and sewer extended. They did try very hard, but it just is not a feasibility. So what we are doing is coming back here requesting to build this on septic, which is one of the main reasons the applicant has acquired that additional lot that we are now seeking use variance approval on. It's working. I don't know what happened. Okay, Brian is already sworn, so actually I will turn the floor over to Brian.
I've marked 4 exhibits. Sheet 107, the tax map, shows the subject property, which are the 3 lots. Lot 69 is the additional lot that was added to this application. It has frontage on Lakeview Place that, in my opinion, will never be developed, and this will help Lakeview Place to never be developed. Lakeview Place would have to extend through environmentally sensitive areas in order to have access to that lot. By adding this lot, just so we have a lot to put the septic in the back, we take away the possibility of encouraging development through that area. Also, A2 is a copy of the plan which you submitted. It's the layout plan which shows the subject property. If you notice, the building, all the parking, everything is still on the 2 lots that the use was approved for. I could argue that we don't need a use variance to the other lot because we're not doing anything non-residential on that lot. All that lot is being added to is to be the septic, and it's a large lot, provides a lot of dilution for the septic system. I know the board was very direct in saying that they prefer to have public sewer. We contacted New Jersey American. We tried every which way we could to get them to allow public sewer. The problem is you can't make it by gravity. There's a stream to the west of us, and the sewer that's to the east of us is too high, so we can't get it by gravity. We need to pump. New Jersey American isn't going to allow us to put a force main in the street because once it hits a right-of-way, the BPU rules say they have to maintain it, and they say they're not maintaining a force main in the street. So there's no way to provide public sewer to this property with the requirements that New Jersey American Water has imposed on it. So the logical thing is to provide an appropriate location for a septic system. A3 is just an aerial showing the subject site. There was a house here and the parking lot for the Macedonian Baptist Church across the street. It's been a parking lot for as long as I know. I've been to many affairs at the Macedonian Baptist Church when it was viable in the past, and that area was there for parking. So we're taking an area that was parking in a single-family home that was really in need of redevelopment and out of character with the neighborhood, and putting in an office building. A4 is a architectural rendering of the property. Architectural plans were submitted. It's a beautiful office building that we're in. So, as indicated in the report, Terry indicates since we added the new lot, we need a renewed use variance. I could argue that, but I don't want to waste my time. I think I can make a case that will be compelling to the board.
Stop wasting your time.
Okay, yes, I don't want to waste anybody's time, mine or yours. So no new bulk variances are required, the same bulk variances that were required before. Buffer relief is needed for the proposed parking that's on there, and the parking lot to the west was already a parking lot, so it's an existing condition. It's adjacent to a township lot that's never going to be developed, so there's no adverse impact. The property to the east is the senior housing project, and they have a parking lot. So we're parking lot to parking lot, so there's really no need for the buffer.
So the parking lot is staying exactly where it is, so the drainage is just a septic field that's being added, that's all?
Yes, a septic field is being added on new lot 69, which is added to the property. It probably give the justification for the variance and the use variance. If you look at the master plan of 2017, the vision statement says encourage development and redevelopment based on smart growth planning principles. It's my testimony. It's same as the last application was approved that this is applicable. The municipal land use law, NJSA 40:55D2, under purposes of the Act, A is to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands in the state in a manner which will promote public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. It's my testimony this time and the last time that is appropriate. We're here for a D variance. We have to show particular cases and special reasons, and the special reasons are the adjoining development, the location of the property. This is a unique piece of property that's surrounded by the development that screams for a good rateable, and in my opinion, what's being proposed here is an excellent rateable for the property. We have to show that the variance can be granted without substantial detriment to public good and will not substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan and zoning ordinance. And it's going to provide a rateable, it's going to provide jobs, it's going to be an improvement to John Street. Last time we had nobody here objecting because it makes so much sense. I'm anticipating we have nobody objecting as well this time. Continuing in the report, Terry asked for testimony on the proposed use. There'll be no medical. This will be general office use. We provided parking in accordance with the ordinance, and we're not asking for any parking relief. We're asking for, and again, as the board knows, the parking for office was changed recently from 1 per 300 to 1 per 250, an increase in the parking need, and we're complying with that increased need. I don't think there's anything else in the report that even needs addressing, that will comply and satisfy all of Terry's concerns.
Mr. Flannery, just looking at the old resolution, are you requiring a parking variance?
We're not asking for a parking variance.
And the trash pickup will still be done privately?
Yes, it will.
And it's going to be a two-story building with or without a basement, you know?
Without a basement.
Well, you said you could have the basement as long as it's for storage.
It would be storage only, right.
So that's still the same.
I believe the original approvals were on a slab, so.
Well, no, it did say that the proposal is for a two-story building without a basement, unless the basement is utilized solely for storage and files. And so that's fine. Now, the prior approval was for 9,380 square foot building. Is that about the same now, or what?
This is 49.98 per floor, so it's a few square feet bigger.
Do you have any correspondence from New Jersey American Water concerning their refusal to provide water and sewer?
I thought I had at the last application submitted that, but I'm testifying on oath that I was involved in those discussions. I met with them. I explained the problem. I explained that the board wanted it, and they were a corporate entity that kept saying they'll send it up the ladder. They send it up the ladder, and at the top of the ladder, they kept doing what people at the
downhill.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And all the prior conditions are still okay?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that, the prior conditions on the previous resolution
Yes.
will remain?
Yes.
Okay. I do notice that there is a 4-foot drop on between the front and the back in the new area.
Yes, and you see there's a retaining wall there, and it'll all be
Right.
graded properly, and RVE will check that as part of resolution compliance to make sure everything's appropriate. As indicated in Terry's report, there are environmental concerns as part of resolution compliance, so we'll have to satisfy RVE that we're doing all the right thing.
I walked the site, I walked the back over there, I do notice there's an extremely amount of wetlands back in there, which is very wet and swampy.
Yes, and we're not building in any of the wet and swampy. If you walk the site where the parking is, that's where we're doing the parking in front, and then we step away from that. And again, if any environmental permits are needed, RVE will be sure to tell us, and we'll get whatever.
You'll need to get county board of health for the sewer, septics, especially.
Yes,
Close to
we
you.
need county for the septic, we need all the outside
The
agencies.
septic will, the leach field of the septic system will then leak into that environmental sensitive.
No, the septic systems, the regulations were revised in the 1990s to provide sufficient area that the effluent, when it goes into the bed is big enough that it drains into the ground, and they've taken into account the nitrate pollution and all the other things. And when we add a lot of this size for the septic, we will be able to do that, and we have to meet all the county regulations.
Okay. I have a wise ass question.
Okay, I'll give you why that's in.
We have Lombardi at the corner over there.
Yes.
Do they have water and sewer?
Yes, because they're on the other side of the stream.
That's my question.
Yes.
Are they eventually going to connect to here, and then we're gonna get rid of this, piece of the septic and put something up on there and coming in from Lombardi?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Sure?
I'm sure, and I would not, I'll give you assurance, I will not come here to testify that, because it would be the wrong thing to do.
Ooh, that's one thing you had last month you didn't want to give that assurance, if somebody comes up with,
Well, last month it was about housing opportunities and providing places for children and stuff. And
Running
Okay, fine, I got it. Okay, fine.
I don't think you heard it.
Yeah, you told me.
I'll say it when I watch the video.
You know that for residential, and I'm just bringing this up, I don't know, for the residential uses, we have the stone front and
Yes, well, I think we've submitted the architecture of
Yeah.
the building, and it's beautiful, so there's glass, it's a phenomenal building that's gonna be the nicest looking building on Johnson.
It's not a school building, right?
No, not saying that.
well, it doesn't look like there's any grass in the front, am I correct on that? Look like it's all parking lot right up to the building.
And there's some areas, we'll be able to fit some plantings to the satisfaction of the board engineer.
Good. All right, thank you.
Brian, why can't they put a force main on their property so they'll be responsible to maintain it?
Because their property doesn't get up the street to where the sewer is. They have to go across.
But if they have a force main and that gets up to the level of the street, that's not sufficient?
The street drops off from where the sewer is to that, it drops off 4 feet.
Mhm.
And the sewer's only 4 feet deep up the street where it is. So by gravity, we can't do it.
Excuse me, Chairman.
Yes, go ahead.
Mine, I'm not sure if you testified as to the relief for the perimeter buffer.
I touched on that with the parking, that what we have next to us, to the west, we have the township property, and there's an existing parking lot there already. So we're replacing an existing parking lot with a proposed parking lot, and it's got no adverse impact because it's township property that's not going to be developed. On the eastern side of us, we have the Macedonia Senior Apartment Complex, which is a parking lot. So we're parking lot to parking lot. So my professional opinion is there's no need for a buffer under those circumstances.
So you don't see any issues potentially with any glare headlights going on to?
No, because the glare into the woods, it'll only impact the deer and the wildlife, and they've been used to that because we've all parked there before, And on the other side is the senior complex, which already has cars driving around.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Rich. If you can explain to me or give me the dimensions of the garbage area?
Well, what we provided is an area for rollout bins on the side of the building. It looks like it's probably about 4 feet by maybe 16 feet.
So, that's the whole area.
Yes.
And what we said, roll up bins, they're gonna roll the bins out?
They're gonna roll them out to that, it's private pickup, so a private company would come, and if they need to come every day, they'll come every day in the morning, they'll roll them out and pick them up. It's general office use, which generates very low carbon.
Okay, so they're only coming in, at nights or when?
Yes, all hours, that's when you have private pickup, you can.
Otherwise, the garbage truck will get in during the
Correct,
day.
correct.
Now, UPS, DHL, whatever, how are they getting in
So
there?
they're gonna come in and park in one of the parking spaces.
Truck?
Well, there's no reason for a big truck to be coming, so the UPS truck that comes to my office, fit in these parking spaces, and.
I think everybody needs an Amazon truck.
Well, the Amazon trucks typically are the vans that fit in a regular parking space. They're 6.5 to 7 feet wide and 18 feet deep, so that fits in the regular parking.
Yeah, it's a water truck or, there are some trucks that can go. Not every Amazon is, not every Amazon UPS is installed something. Something should have been provided for trucks or turnarounds or.
Well, we have a truck radius plan that was submitted that shows that the trucks can go out.
Yeah, I saw that, but that's only if there is no cars parked.
Right, and as I indicated, the trash would be picked up off hours. I think this is typical of this kind of straight office building that.
Well, you know, I'm a big Red Bulls fan, I just want
Yes.
it nice and safe.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the plan, I just want to, start scrambling for a truck, and then they're gonna say, wait, who told her this one, we can't get no trucks in here. Yeah.
The applicant's right here, and he's a sophisticated.
Scooters. Put it this way, can you do anything at this point, or you're done? This is.
I think the plan as submitted is good. It's asking for it.
Was that this site plan was approved already? No.
No, the board feels that we need to provide.
Mr. Flannery, the 4x16, that's concrete?
Yes.
And explain, there's not going to be dumpsters, right?
No. It's going to be rolled out vehicles. Yeah, recycled.
I like that, there's no signs there.
Have exhibit A, Jerry.
We'll call that A5.
See that? That was good.
I'm the IT guy tonight. Is that truck, is there some in the front for a truck maybe?
Yes.
Staples truck or a?
Yes. The applicant would certainly be willing, if the board acts favorably, to have a condition that we fit up front a truck area that's bigger than the standard, and we'll adjust the building and the parking to accommodate.
Can we see that before?
Can you see that before you vote? Yes. I know, before. Before you memorialize, before you vote to memorialize.
And if I don't like it?
If you don't like it, then New Lions vote again until you like it.
You sure about that? Oh. Guys, you hear that? Yeah. What's that? I like it.
I didn't, you get a revised where the trash company comes.
We're gonna provide an area up in the front so that the truck doesn't have to come in very far. This will provide a loading space that the driver of the truck is gonna have to walk from there to the building.
Before we set down, Brian, in your personal opinion, do you think you can fit that in?
Yes.
Why, by taking out this walkway in the middle?
We're gonna have have to, get the shoehorn out and move things a little bit there, I can see this wiggle room.
Okay, and you'll provide that before memorialization?
Before memorialization.
Are you gonna take away the side yard setback from 899, 835?
No, we're gonna keep the same side yard setback that's there.
What?
I'm looking at.
One second. So then you're gonna remove it, you're gonna go to a rear yard setback?
No, we're gonna do it in the area that's there. The worst case, if we don't have enough room, is we'll have to make the building a little bit smaller to match the park.
On the drawing, you have this gray area here, is it? The sidewalk grass, this side, is this side, is that? Let me see.
Well, that's the architect.
What's that grade?
Trash.
Yes.
In other words,
It's not parking. It's not parking.
Yeah, to me, this looks like everything, to me, by the way, if you look at this, you compare that to this.
Yeah.
To me, this looks like it's a side yard setback, right away, take a look. 8.35 feet, right? That's what this is.
It's like, the architect draws a conceptual, site plan. We don't want you looking at the architect's site plan, it's conceptual.
This is-
Architects are artistic, I know.
You can't push the parking up to the edge.
No, I don't want to use it to.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, it'd be great to have a wider area then.
No.
And what about this little side?
That's what I was talking about, you want to take that out?
I prefer to look at the new lines plan, because that's the site plan that we're asking for approval of. to get
Open
the-
sidewalk.
Yes.
From all the way to back, right?
If you eliminate that, then people can, a longer truck.
Yes, you're right.
Yes, well,
Maybe the first two.
yeah, we would do it, that's what I was saying, in the beginning, right?
First two.
Yeah. Yes.
Sidewalk.
Yeah, yep,
Oh, the area.
yeah.
On the street.
Now we
Yeah,
can.
curbside. No, it needs to keep curbside. Okay, guys, any further questions?
Yeah, the parking, again, just run me through the numbers, probably on parking.
There's 42 spots.
42 currently shown.
39 proposed, I see 39 proposed. I see 39, written over is 39 proposed, on 10,000 square feet. What's required? So required is 39 feet. Where do you see, I see you right there.
10,000 divided by 250.
He says you're here 30.
Yes, it is a new board, it's 250.
So you're using 300, you're using 300 square feet?
So how many spaces does he have?
We have 42 spaces.
Gotta be 40 spots?
Yeah, you got 98.
On the revised plan, you have a bank of 11, a bank of 11, a bank of 10, and a bank of 10. That's 42. These are the plans that.
At most 40 would be
August
required.
19th.
Okay.
And per calculation that we had, they required 40 spaces. Right.
Okay, so we got.
Right, it's about that.
Okay. He says
This plan says
42.
Well, you said it would conform.
42 spots.
40 is required.
40 is required, 42 is required.
40 is required, and we have 42.
Right.
So there's spots above the requirement. I will put that in the.
Got it.
Okay. Anyone from the public want to be heard on 4196 Cornerstone Suites properties? Please step up.
Sir, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, so help you God?
I affirm Moshe Zionis, 11.
Spell your last name for me, please.
Z-E-I-N-E-S, 1163 Evergreen Avenue, Lakewood. Yeah, first please, could you just clarify what's there right now? We said there's an existing parking lot, there's a township lot, there's what's going on?
You can see on A3, there's an existing home in the front, and then there's a parking lot, a gravel parking lot for the Macedonia Baptist Church, which formerly approached.
So the church is gone?
As far as I know, it's gone. I haven't been invited there for anything.
No, I'm saying this parking lot's not used for that.
This parking lot's not used by the church.
Two other things. One is I noticed that it's missing a stop sign. Could we get a stop sign by the exit?
Absolutely.
That would be awesome. Okay, now I want to suggest something, a way that you could do this parking lot in a way that everything could work and that he doesn't have to reconfigure everything. We did by the Voice parking lot. Yeah, you were here. By the Voice, we restriped like this, across, and put up a sign for truck deliveries. This way the truck has a place to come in, pull into a spot that's always there for the trucks, and go back out without having to reconfigure the building.
If the board would want us to,
Well, I'm suggesting it to the board. That's my
Well,
suggestion.
the applicant is gonna propose something when he gets back to the drawing board.
Well, what I'm proposing is that he doesn't have to do that. He can do that, he can just say to this, yeah, without having to move the building.
and I'm in agreement with Mr. Zhang.
Thank you.
Progress.
So then will you be revising the parking at all?
It depends on the board. If the board goes with Mr. Zina's suggestion, which I think is brilliant, then we don't need to. But if the board thinks they want something a little different, then that's.
I'd like to see what he's doing.
Before the,
Before the, okay.
Okay?
Yep.
And if I don't like it,
We'll do it again.
we'll do it again, and we might have a new lights here every month going on.
Okay.
You don't miss a month and then.
Okay? Thank you. Okay. Can I have, anyone else, any comments? Anyone, oh, sorry, anyone from the public, anyone else? Seeing none, we'll go to the public. Can I have final comments on the motion, one way or the other?
One comment is, can the applicant agree that this can be on a slab?
That's
just being sensitive.
I didn't hear that, Mr.
Yes.
Delahaye.
Yes, the applicant agrees it will be on the slab.
So it'll be
Yes.
On a slab.
Yes, Jerry, you can make it that it'll be on the slab.
Okay?
There's a question, how many employees do you expect to be in the building?
You can't testify. I mean, we can swear him in, we can affirm him if you'd like. So, I don't.
Or you can be whispering or?
They're gonna take one of the floors themselves, and they would anticipate 20 on that floor, and the downstairs would be less than that. So it'd be in the 30s.
Okay. And no full park will be in this one, right? Get away with that. Okay.
That's probably, because I've been in those
Yeah. Okay, anyone else?
One question on the septic, Brian, you've done a lot of work. Is there anything around an office building like this that's unseptic? That you can just.
I don't know if there's anything in this vicinity, because typically, in the downtown Lakewood area, you're in the sewer service area, you can get to it. But I've done countless, office buildings on septic. It's very easy. The big part of the septic is when you get peak flows and stuff like that, and you know, it'll happen, at certain times. And in the office building, you don't have those kind of peak flows, and you have times where the septic system gets to, have oxygen get in and stuff, so.
Yeah, if it's a non-medical use, I think the
Yes.
septic system will be very
It's not
fast.
much work, you can use it, two toilets and maybe a shower or two.
Agreed.
Okay?
Yeah.
Is it gonna be a ring septic, or do you know yet if it's, have you done the study yet, what it's gonna?
We have not designed the septic yet. I would anticipate it would not be a raised septic. With a lot that large, and you can see there were areas of it that were used for access in the easterly portion of the new lot that I would not expect.
Okay, anyone else? Not, can I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve with, on slab, and what was the other thing?
Well, we got the garage, we got a rollout in the back, and we're gonna look at potential revisions to the truck.
By the way, one quick question. If he wants to remove the septic, for whatever reason later on, he has to come back for a new vote?
No, he has to get board health approval, he wouldn't have
And of
to.
course, remove the septic. If for somebody.
You saying remove it?
Remove it. If somebody is able to connect the city sewer.
Yeah, he wouldn't have to go back for a site plan.
He'd have to come back for a new site plan, right?
No, because he's not making the building any bigger.
Okay, but if he wants to put anything on that, then I'll.
Oh,
He was adding to the site, so I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, then I'll.
But if he would do the other,
Okay.
board of health or
Okay, so he
anything.
can't add anything before we take another look at it later on.
I'm sorry?
So he can't add to this building
No,
later on.
absolutely not.
Without taking another look at it.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Okay, perfect. Okay, I have a motion by Moshe Langry. Can I have a second? Second by Moshe Ingber. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Lieberman.
Yes.
Mr. Langley?
Yes.
Mr. Ribbiat?
Yes.
Mr. Inger?
Yes.
And Mr. Halverson?
Yes. Okay. Good
Thank
night, good luck.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, good night. We're gonna go back up to the top, I see Adam is here. 4174 Jacob Rumpelstein.
Sure, Jacob Merle's, I understand, granted use variance, you only get 5 members, so on that one, that one we're gonna carry to the next development meeting.
November. Okay, fine, we have a motion to table, Jacob Rumpelstein, 4174, November 8th.
Remember you agreed to hold the time period and we'll waive the need for notice.
Okay, we're, motion by Ms. Lang, can I have a second, please? Second by Ms. Langkry, Madam Secretary.
Mr. Lieberman?
Yes.
Mr. Langley?
Yes.
Mr. Ribbiat?
Yes.
Mr. Inger?
Yes.
And Mr. Halverson?
Yes. Anyone that's here for 4174, Jacob Rumpelstein, that will be heard on November 8th, here in the City Court. 4121A, 58 Drake Road. Franny, do you need this back?
Yes, please.
Can I have Drake Road application? I'm a deed taker. Yeah, that was good. Franny, can you read that directly?
No, sir, no, sir. This is for you. Take it home.
Oh, no.
And I guess this is your turn. I have to hold that. Okay, we get you, man.
Okay.
All right, 4121A, 58 Drake LLC, Drake Road, Block 25102, Lot 17, R40 zone, major subdivision to create 6 single-family lots. Use variance was previously obtained. Minimum lot width variances have been requested for proposed lot 17.03. A lot width of 83 feet is proposed, whereas 150 feet are required under R40 standards and 90 feet are required under R12 standards.
What was that again, Fran? Can you repeat that?
Lot
This is
width
from
variance.
Terry Bones, lot width. Yeah, you want to do this?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Adam Pfeffer, attorney on behalf of the applicant. As Fred indicated, we have previously received use variance approval on this application. This application this evening is for 6 single-family lots in accordance with the R12 standards, which is what we came and proposed to the board some time ago. I have Brian Flannery here to address all technical questions, to review Terry's review letter. I will ask Brian to be sworn in, and just to mark the exhibits, so we can walk you through the application. The only variance that's being sought is the one for a lot width for one of the lots.
Flannery, raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth? So we got.
I do. Brian Flannery Jackson, New Jersey, licensed professional engineer and professional planner. As indicated, we're here for the subdivision application of a plan that was approved for the density use previously. I have 4 exhibits marked. A1 is a copy of sheet 75 of the tax map. It shows where the subject property is located along Drake Road. The board is probably familiar with the properties 9098 to the north, which were also approved by this board and are under construction, and 12,000 square foot lots to be built there. This is a property that is in the R40 zone, but the master plan says it should be R12, subject to road improvements, and the road improvements are anticipated to begin on Cross Street sometime this year. A2 is a copy, a rendered copy of it showing the 6 houses that are proposed. A3 is the approved, the variance map that was submitted when it was approved, and it's identical to what is proposed this evening, and A4 is just a aerial showing where the subject property sits. It's an area that I knew well. My old house actually was right here on Clarkson, and you can see on the thing, ran by that every day when I ran down the lake and ran back again. The neighborhood has changed. It was larger lots. At some point, the neighborhood started changing to schools. That's when the residents got together and said, we should really make it R12 so we have housing opportunities. So looking at...
Can I interrupt you for a moment? That's right next door to the Platinum development that's going up between.
That is right.
So is it, if I remember correctly, didn't we have a discussion to try to make this flow traffic, the traffic flow properly, somehow to make a connection into that street so that it could, not all the traffic has to come out onto Drake, you can get some traffic back out onto Cross later on? Because it's right next door?
I have no recollection of that, and it would be impossible at this point because what happened on Drake is Drake was extended and goes through, and it provides that everybody doesn't have to stay on Drake and come out at the one point. And right now there's houses being built up next to it, so there's no opportunity to connect the road to it.
So right behind that orange box, there are houses there from the Platinum Development Complex?
Yes. So looking at Terry's report on page 2 zoning, he indicates the use variance was granted, resolution number 4121. He indicates the minimum lot width, because when we came for the use, the board did not grant any of the bulk variances. They wanted to see fully designed engineering plans, which we have at this point. That's why I brought A3. When you look at A2 and A3, it's the same layout, the same number of lots, the same size lots. So we do need a lot width variance for 83 feet where 90 feet is required in the R12. All of the lots are larger than 12,000 square feet. 12 or greater. Yeah. Yeah, all of them are 12 or greater.
What about 1 foot?
We have one that's 14, the big lot in the back is 14, the others is 12. Same as the map that was submitted. And again, we're looking to provide housing opportunities in accordance with the ordinance. Looking for the justification for the variances, the master plan of 2017 on background information. They start on page 2 on the population growth, and they go through all the population growth, and they conclude on the following page. Based on this information, it's important that Lakewood plan for the residential development that houses growing population. And I think since 2017, when the master plan was done, we certainly increased the population again, and we still need those housing opportunities. The vision statement on page 7 of the 2017 master plan is encourage development and redevelopment based on smart growth planning principles. And as I indicated, this was an area that was A1 at one point. When I moved into that neighborhood, it was A1 agricultural in Lakewood is the thing that's passed. And the master plan says it should be R12, which we're complying with, except for one lot width variance. And if you look at that particular lot, it's a lot on the end of the cul-de-sac, which typically the land use law is the SA 40:55D2 under the purpose of the Act is encouraging this selection to guide you for use of development of all land in the state, in a manner which will promote public health, safety, and welfare. It's my testimony that this does this. E is to promote the establishment of appropriate population densities and concentrations that will contribute to the well-being of persons, neighborhood, community, and preservation of the environment. Again, my testimony that this does that. Continuing in Terry's report, on page 3, he has testimony on what the cul-de-sac will be a public private road, and we're proposing a public road dedicated to the township with public trash removal. Testimony should be provided with respect to refuse and recyclables, and again, it would be DPW. We're subject to getting a DPW approval for that favorably. Architectural plans This time, these will be custom homes, and similar to the ones that are being developed next to it by Platinum. Custom homes, there is a great need in Lakewood for custom homes on 12,000 square foot lots, and this will provide those housing opportunities. And everything else in the report, we would satisfy the board engineer, the board activity.
Mr. Leonard, how are we with the street, with Cross Street in terms of the improvement? Because the prior resolution said you only can build 2 until the roadway was taken care of.
Yes, and we would go with the same stipulation, that was in that approval.
The roads aren't done yet.
The roads aren't done yet, and my understanding is, from the past resolution, it was until, construction starts on improving Cross Street. And we are anticipating that construction to start, this fall, based on my recent conversations with the county engineer. So the applicant can only get, 2 building permits until such time as that construction actually starts.
Right. There was, previously conditions that there would be no outside stairs. That remains.
The prior conditions we would agree to, the upgraded architectural frontages. I mean, this is going to be a custom neighborhood,
and how about where's the stairs for the basement?
There'd be 1 set of stairs for the basement from the exterior, 1 set from the interior, consistent with.
But I mean, is this the outside stairs to be on the side of the house, the rear, or you don't know?
I don't think we know.
They're going to be custom houses, so
We have enough room here.
Yes.
It wouldn't impose any other variance.
Okay, thank you.
What's going up at that corner? Neiman?
The corner of Neiman?
Yeah, right to my fingers. What's going on in there?
There's a.
Not that I can do anything about it. Just...
There's a house there now. I don't know what they're doing. Nobody's asked me to get approval on that.
Might be school.
I think it's a school.
Might be school. School. Yeah, that's maybe.
Yeah, I know there's a school across the street. There's a school on lot 28. So these schools that were popping up are what encourage the residents.
How many acres is this piece, this total piece?
The piece is
2 acres. So you realize you can only build 2 houses until Cross Street gets fixed?
Yes, we just went through that.
I know.
Until the road is
started.
Construction starts.
Yeah.
Until shovel in the ground?
Yes.
Okay. When's that gonna happen? Any news? I know 2 years ago you told me it's imminent.
The county engineer kept telling me 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, and the big holdup was a CAPRA permit. The terrorists down in Trenton didn't want to give a CAPRA permit for Cross Street. Yes. Yes. With few exceptions, sir.
Why do you need CAPRA to fix Cross Street?
Because CAPRA starts at Route 9 and up until the railroad tracks is CAPRA, and anything you do in CAPRA on a roadway over 1,200 feet, they need the CAPRA. The CAPRA permit was granted in June, so we're over that hurdle. That was the main hurdle that held everything up.
Even a county road has to come out to CAPRA?
Yes. Yep.
Oh wow. Learn
And they're worse on the county approvals than they are on private development.
Can you just clarify, when you say that you can only build 2 lots, that's when they start construction on the widening, or when it's complete?
Well, we can only get 2 building permits until they start the construction on Cross Street.
So let's say the construction takes 5 years or 8 years to do. You can finish this even though it's not, the
construction is not going to take 5 or 8 years. The county engineer anticipates it being done in 3 months.
Until the effectively until Cross Street is finished, they can't get the other 4 lots.
But the prior language has been until construction starts on Cross Street.
For the 2 lots.
No,
2 lots come to that. 2 lots.
Some of the board approved this. The reason why we understand.
I'm sorry, you're right. Until the construction of Cross Street begins, only 2 of the proposed lots will be allowed building permits.
Right, which means that if something goes wrong on the county level and the road doesn't get finished or they run into a glitch or something, they can go ahead and finish this whole project. And Cross Street's still not done.
And to drive there.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
And in my career, which you can tell by the color of my hair, has been extended. I've never seen a county project, especially Ocean County, because they get all their permits, they get everything in line, they get the funding, be then they award a contract, and then the contract starts.
Brian, in my experience, you see the color of my hair. I've seen it held up.
No, I don't. That's.
The county road.
Brian, the color of my hair is not gonna take 3 months.
I
Well,
think his hair,
3 months from when the construction starts.
let's just hope that his hair doesn't look like yours by the time we get it. None of the site plan that I'm looking at here show the square footage of the lots. Do you have anything over there that?
There's a chart listed right on A4, and A4 also.
Also, page 3 of Terry's report has each of the
Yes.
lots.
And this all the lots. 12,000, 12,068, 12,090.
Everybody's implied with the actual building. Correct.
That's okay. As long as they-
Proposed lots are 12,000, 12,000, 14,182, 12,025, 12,010, and 12,000.
Oh, here we go. Oh, no, that's required.
Okay.
Open to public?
41A, anyone in the public want to be heard? Please move up, step up.
Please raise your hand. You swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, so help you
I
God.
affirm, Moshe Zayna, still at 1163 Evergreen Avenue. First of all, I think the board was asking about lot 29. Mr. I don't like sidewalks was there. Remember him? He came here? Right. Yeah, he had just gotten an award from the Ocean County Parks Department for 60 years of work. Yeah, anyways.
What is it? Their school there? What is it?
No, Mr. McGowan's house is over there. Anyways, I wanted to point out, I understand the board did a lot, I talked a lot about Cross Street. I actually saw the CAFRA permits. The CAFRA permits for Cross Street are being issued in 2 phases, and Ocean County is going to be doing the road improvements in 2 phases. Phase 1 is Cross Street between Route 9 and Augusta Boulevard. Phase 2 will be Augusta Boulevard to the Jackson border. Phase 2, which I believe this is part of, the DEP gave some issues to the county, and I'm not sure what's going to happen with that part of the project, especially because the county likely also needs DOT approval because of the rail crossing by Prospect Street. So my point is I'd like the board to clarify on this application, and just in case I'm not here, you should also clarify this for the other 2 or 3 applications that are coming or will likely come back in this area. That when you say when the county gets a shovel in the road, do you mean phase 1, which is not this section of the road, or do you mean phase 2, which is this section of the road?
That's a good point. Thank you for bringing it up. Somebody help us out.
Mr. Flannery, it should be phase 2, right? That's what we're talking about, the benefits of this area.
That's a very good point. Thank you.
My understanding, it would be phase 1, because phase 1 of Cross Street is where the traffic gets backed up at. It's where it gets to Route 9, it gets to Massachusetts, and that was my
And on
understanding.
Prospect.
What?
And on Prospect. And on
Yeah.
James. It is backed up at every
Well,
intersection.
and the backup occurs to a great extent because of the traffic.
Because of the outlet and because of the turning lane on Prospect.
Well, my thought was it would be phase 1.
Well, now, the testimony was that, I think your testimony was the contract's about to be let and it'll be built in 3 months.
Phase 1.
Well, you want to say that, thank you.
There's another phase which is going to take another few years to get approved.
I understand.
And then we have a problem with that. That's a good thought. Didn't know that. What do we do?
That's not for us to decide, that's a legal thing, right?
That's right. Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, we don't vote on that.
Well, you want, it seems to me you want the traffic improvements to benefit this property.
I'm saying, but that's a legal thing. They have to take it up with county, I would assume.
No. What's going on? When we decided, give me a second, okay. When we decided that we allowed them to do this, we didn't know about phase 1 and phase 2. It was one long repair from the beginning to the end. Okay, so therefore when you start, you're going to start from the beginning, you're going to finish, and everything will be wonderful, and proceed will run. Now we're hearing, or we just heard, that the county just approved it done in 2 phases, up to the tracks, but there's still one.
Mr. Planner, do they
There's
have
not a
approval
building.
for phase
So
two?
it's not considered repair.
No, they don't have capital for phase two.
They don't have to get CAP for approval to build the,
But I think to put it in perspective, we're saying on this application that we can build 2 houses because that's what he could have built anyways. We're talking 4 additional houses in a town that has 120,000 residents.
Right, I understand they have to submit to pay that. They're allowed to build 2 by right now.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
Or a lot, or
Yeah.
per acre, whatever it is. Don't they have to submit an application to the county to go pass from house number 3 to number 6? You have, you just.
Guys, I have another question.
Why don't you just say, well, what's the process at that point?
I think a little confusion. The reason the number 2 came about.
Phase 2?
No.
Oh, number 2, yes. That's
He's on the 2 houses. So when we came up, it wasn't just this application, there were a few of the applications in the area. The board, rightfully so, was concerned that you're gonna grant all these approvals and no work is ever gonna get done on Cross Street, we're gonna get stuck with all these houses. So we, back and forth, we had a conversation, and I think the board, agreed that we would say, hey, what can you do today as of right? Here, it's 2 houses. So we got 2. Again, the original resolution approved that when they commence construction, and that was everyone's understanding, that was everyone's discussion. Now we're here, we're saying, we gave exactly what we were looking for, what we said we do, we're still agreeing that when they commence construction.
But, what is a big but? We just found out now that they finally got the approvals on condition of 2 phases. So now the second phase really doesn't help. The first phase doesn't really help the Cross Street in reference to this neighborhood. Because we're still going to be stuck on Prospect, we're still going to be stuck on James Street, and therefore the backup is still going to be there, and it doesn't accomplish what we wanted to accomplish, because you can't get past that bottleneck. Now, before you answer the question, I have another question. We know that, how did this whole thing happen on R12? Because there's another map, which is supposed to be filed from the 2017 master plan, to go into effect after Cross Street is fixed. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay? Let me ask you a question, and that's how we based the 1 to 2 per acre. Listen, we have a flower map of a master plan that's supposed to go into effect, and therefore, why let them wait until Cross Street is finished? The map is there, township wants it, we'll give it to them once we see Cross Street is fixed. That's how this all came about, to let you happen. Not that we just gave you a variance of 12,000 square feet. We gave you a variance because we know that this is our behind it. So let me ask you a legal question. Jerry, a question for you. When is this file going to be met? Is going to be filed? After Cross Street is fixed for phase 1?
well, you file the map, but you don't get 2 building permits.
No, I'm talking about the new site map. There's no new zoning map. There's a zoning map behind this.
Wait, hold on a second. Are you talking about the subdivision map here?
No.
The one
I'm talking about the zoning map that the township created in 2017 on condition that when Cross Street is fixed, it gets approved.
Well,
Terry, you know what I'm talking about.
I know when you're talking about there was a certain zone allowed.
Correct.
And it was a condition that you could only get so much development until the roads were available.
And that zone was predetermined that it would be in R12, and that's how we got the R12 number. And that's how we got the these amount.
Well, I'm not sure if it's going, I'm not sure if the zoning map, the zoning change affects their filing of the zoning map. They can proceed at risk. What it may affect is you're not going to be able to get how many COs until the road's done, correct?
I think the answer to the chairman's question is the rezoning gets done when the governing body says we're going to do the rezoning. There's no mechanism that
there is a mechanism. The rezoning was done. It just can't be filed until the issue is fixed.
The rezoning was recommended in the master plan, subject to the road being fixed. So just like all the other rezonings that were in the master plan that didn't have the road being fixed, the governing body, when they got around to it, they did that rezoning. Some of the recommendations from the master plan were done in December of 2017, right after it. Some were done in 2018. This particular recommendation will be done whenever the governing body decides to do it, and the governing body will decide to do it based on who asks them to do it. And yes, to an extent, it'll be based on Cross Street.
I always have two maps. I have this area as
Yes.
an R12 map hanging, and I have this area
Yes.
as an R40 existing the way it's
Yes.
now.
Yes.
And the R12 is not in effect because Cross Street isn't fixed, and it was
Yeah.
never
And that's the
adopted in my
reason,
resolution.
that's correct, and that's the reason we gave them a use variance.
Correct.
The issue is phase one or phase two, because at the time when we granted the application, everyone clearly thought, you know, it would be one phase is ethical, so. That's the-
You have the old resolution, I don't have it.
Yeah.
What is the language we have in the resolution, if you don't mind?
Sure. The applicant agrees with the recommendations of the zoning board that until the construction of Cross Street begins, only 2 of the proposed lots will be allowed building permits and a CO.
So, again, there was no time frame set in there, it didn't matter. if that-
No, but it also says the applicant understands that in accordance with the recommendations of the 2017 master plan, the property should be rezoned for R12 after the county undertakes improvements to Cross Street in order to alleviate traffic issues, all of which will benefit the subject
Correct.
property. But I think the clear inference was that we
That we didn't know that.
it was going all the way.
Correct. So guys, we have a very strong issue here. Because the county split into 2 phases, and I think we should wait for phase 2 to commence, not phase 1. Yeah, but we didn't know that at that time. No. So,
Can I suggest as opposed to, I'm sorry.
go ahead, go
Right, back
ahead.
in
Jerry, please, Drew has a question.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest dilemma is that there have been a lot of projects that have been approved the same way in the past that will not have the same restriction that he's gonna have now.
Well, I don't know about the past. All I do know that we didn't know that Cross Street was going to be improved in sections, but we know it's linked. So I don't remember exactly what we did in the past. I have a general idea what you're talking about, but I don't know where those projects were in terms of Cross Street. You know, that might be in phase 1. But here we know now what the situation is with this property.
Well, all of those other approvals were in this area. And I think what Adam was trying to say, in order to move this and make everybody, if we say two COs before it starts, 2 COs with phase 1 and 2 COs with phase 2, there's some sort of fairness, and we're talking about 2 additional units. When we're talking about 2 additional units in this area, it's.
But then you want 4 lots with phase 1 when phase 2
Yeah.
starts.
Yeah.
Not 2.
2 we could do immediately, even without it starting.
Correct.
2 more, with the starting and 2.
Why don't we do it, you know, if you're ready to compromise, let's do 1 and then 3. Because the bulk of it is in phase 2, so let's just do half. Total of 3 when phase 1 starts.
Well, we like 2 and 2 then.
We can start, we can start 2 as of right.
The 2.
We can get to it as a regular, we can do 1 when phase 1 starts.
So it'll be 3 and 3. It'll be total of 3 and 3.
But, if the board makes the decision, we're respectfully requesting two that we can start now because we're allowed to have 2 additional when phase 1 is started, and 2 when phase 2 is started. And that would provide this applicant some fairness with respect to the other applications that are going to be able to do all theirs, this when phase 1 starts.
Where's the language that allows, any developer to start 2 immediately before?
In the resolution that was approved, and it was a 2-acre thing, so it's 2 acres in a 1 acre zone.
Right.
The logic, and I thought it was very good logic,
It was
that
very good logic.
we can do 2
Right.
today without any approval.
And 2 acres.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do 2, so we gave him 2.
Right.
And then when you fix it cross, you can do it, so then.
I'm okay with Brian's compromise.
Okay.
Which is.
So that 2 lots, that's 2/3 of the project. 2 lots when phase 1 starts, and the last 2 lots when phase 2 starts. That's the suggestion.
That was a suggestion. But Brian, just take into consideration this issue when anyone else has to come up with those.
Yes. Yes.
I don't understand that a year later on that it's been done. We didn't know that it was a 2-phase permit. Well, by the way, what date was that permit issued, that new phase permit? Was that recently issued?
Yeah, I believe it was in June,
In June?
and only the first phase was issued.
Well, have they applied for phase two?
I think they have, I don't know for sure.
You
I know they have a consultant working on it, I've seen the plans for phase two, but I don't know where they are.
They would have to wait for CAFRA though.
Well, phase
They're
two
almost-
is that's, yeah.
I'm not sure if phase two needs CAFRA, but it will need the railroad. Because most of phase two is on the other side of the railroad track. When you're on the south side of the railroad track, you're in CAFRA. North side of the railroad track, you're not.
Mike, you're okay with?
I'm okay with either, with Abe's proposal or Brian's proposal, either one.
Chair? Yes.
Yes, you know, I have to agree with Mr. Lakewood, because it's not a humongous project, you're talking about 6 houses in total. I think it's gonna make a difference, like about 3 or 4 as far as the density is concerned.
I agree.
Yeah, so it's not gonna make, but what they have to understand, that I don't wanna hear next week, somebody come in with a huge subdivision,
And they're gonna want it approved based on supposed to be finished. No, we have phase two to deal with now.
they're gonna have to make a compromise of some sort of thing.
No, why can't we require the next?
Let's not worry about the ground.
They can't do anything.
Phase two, exactly, that's my point, that's exactly correct. Okay, anyone else from the public want to be heard? Seeing none, we'll close to the public. Guys, final comments or motion?
Motion.
Motion from Mr. Lakewood, Madam Secretary.
Every motion.
Second.
Second. What exactly?
Motion.
Wait, what is?
Motion. Let's just hold the board, two, or three, like Abe said. Anybody have a preference? I don't have a problem. So keep it the way it was.
What?
They can start construction on 2 now.
Yes.
They can do another 2 when phase 1
Begins.
commences, and they have to wait
For another two. When phase two starts.
Yeah, got it. Is that the motion, Mr. Lakewood?
Yes, that's the motion.
Okay.
I have, they can start construction on 2, and 2 when phase 2 begins. And when
Phase one.
Phase one begins.
Phase
2 now, 2 in phase 1, and 2 in phase 2.
Two, and
2
two.
now, 2 phase 1, okay, there's 8 1, 2 phase 2, okay.
Second.
Now we are,
Who's second?
who's that, Hank B. and Lydia?
Yeah. Motion by motion.
Motion, okay. Mr. Lieberman,
Yes.
Mr. Langkry,
Yes.
Mr. Vivian,
Yes,
Mr.
yes.
Inger, and
Yes.
Mr. Halverstadt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Moving on, 4197, Orange Pool Holdings. Yes.
We're going forward with Orange County use.
Okay. What? Okay, guys, we got to move.
The agenda is miscellaneous, with the report.
Right.
Yes, already.
Orange Pool?
Hey, do you have anything, do you need this stuff?
Yes, I don't have anything, I don't get anything, I need everything.
Have the what?
Doesn't get anything.
Okay, well, I have one set of plans.
Okay, thank you very much.
That, and I have some of this stuff.
Can we move on? Can we move on?
Okay, give this to you.
Orange Pool.
Before we do this, okay, you guys are on.
They have a house.
I just want to make sure you're here for something.
Have a,
Came with a building.
Yeah. Single family.
He's here. Yeah, he can hear you.
yeah, that's fine.
You can hear you.
Brian, can you read this?
4197, Orange Pool Holdings, 1536 Prospect Street, lot 190, lot 7 and 1 zone, use variance to construct a retail building. Wait, let's take it
Brian?
all at once.
Brian? Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, good evening, Adam Pemberton, the applicant. Like the previous applications, this mixed-use, two-story mixed-use building has already received a use variance approval from this board. We are back here for a two-story building on a slab, no basement. I just want to point out, Brian will go through the report, but Terry's report indicates there may be a parking variance. We are not seeking any parking variances this evening. I'll have Brian give testimony and we'll mark the exhibits.
This is a site plan, correct?
Site plan, we're going at the use, correct.
Okay.
Mr. Planner, raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, so we got it?
I do, Brian Flannery Jackson, New Jersey, licensed professional engineer and professional planner. As indicated, this is a application where we got a use variance for the proposed building. The proposed building is actually smaller than what we got the use variance in order to make the parking and everything work. We've done it. I have A1 is a tax map which shows where the subject property is. A2 is a copy of the plan by New Line showing the layout and the dimensions. It shows the parking in front of the building, a delivery area in return, and the access on Prospect Street. A3 is a copy of the variance map that was submitted, which shows virtually the same thing. A3 had a little bit more parking and a building that had an office upstairs. We're looking for just retail on the first floor. The second floor would be storage only. So the property is in the M1 zone where this use isn't allowed. The board is sort of familiar with this area, which is surrounded by residential development. As indicated on page 3 of the zoning, the use was previously granted. The minimum lot area variance, 1 acre, it's an existing condition where 3 acres is required, and all these are existing conditions. Minimum lot width, same thing. Minimum front yard setback, we're asking for 78.03 where 100 feet is required, and again, consistent with what was submitted as a variance application, and a minimum side yard setback of 24 feet where 30 feet is required. With respect to the parking, we're providing parking for the retail at 1 space for 200 square feet. The current plan is short, a couple spaces. We would need 43. There's only 41 shown. My testimony is that we can tighten things up and get the extra 2 spaces, and if we don't, we would reduce the area of the building slightly accordingly so that we're not requesting any parking relief. Again, looking at the master plan of 2017, the vision statement says to encourage development and redevelopment based on smart growth planning principles. And just like we came into the use, when we came into the use, we said that this will be a building that will be utilized by the residential development that was done around it. It's a needed use that will provide job opportunities. And this is the land use law, NJAC 40:55D2 under the purpose of the Act. Encouragement and selection to guide the appropriate use of development of all lands in the state in a manner which will promote public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. And that's certainly my testimony that this does this. The only other development that would be consistent with the area would be more houses, and this is something that it provides work opportunities and workable spaces so that less trip generation is needed. We need to show that the variance can be granted without substantial detriment to public good and will not substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance. And it's my testimony that this does this. It's small in nature. The major relief that was needed was for the use. And apparently the last meeting, the testimony was compelling on that. With respect to the rest of the report, Terry indicates we should give testimony with the proposed office, or the proposed retail, and it will be small retail shops to serve neighborhood uses. On page 5, there's a comment with respect to parking, which is what I indicated before. 41 parking spaces are shown, where 43 are required. We will, as the board acts favorably, we will tighten up the parking to get to 43 parking spaces, or we'll shrink the building so that no parking relief is needed. The architecturals were submitted. It's a beautiful building that'll fit well in that area. And all the other comments in the report, we would satisfy the board favorably on the application.
The original resolution, I'm sorry, sir. The original resolution said no, you wouldn't be allowed any parking lot variance, but now you're saying one already.
No, we're not asking for it. The plan that was submitted, new lines needs to sharpen their pencil and either add 2 parking spaces or make the building smaller. We are not asking for a parking variance.
If I
For
may,
2
one
reasons.
question, Chairman, if I could. Brian, page 7, under landscaping buffers, our comment to, how does the project comply with the perimeter buffer? I know you have a 6-foot fence.
We provided fencing and we can provide landscaping as the board engineer sees suitable to comply with the intent of the ordinance.
Thank you.
Quick question. I remember last time we gave you the use variance was only on small stores, not a box store. Small little neighborhood shops, grocery, not even mom and pops. Pizza shop, drugstore, cleaners, tailors. I see you. That's relatable. All right, Palabos then. Okay. I see here a big retail #1. That's not what we gave you last time.
Well,
The other ones are fine, but I see here a nice big store over there, which can ultimately turn into another grocery store, which is exactly what we don't want.
Well, we could certainly stipulate as a condition of the approval that it would not be a grocery store. My understanding when the applicant looked at it.
Like a box store.
Right.
Instead of a box store.
My understanding when the applicant looked at it and he conferred with people to see what kind of uses would be good in the area, and a pharmacy in that area would be good, and the 3,000 square foot was consistent with the pharmacy. My understanding was that the board said we don't want any 4,000 square foot uses because that'll be a supermarket. I thought the 3,100 square feet that's proposed.
This is a little bit.
If the board thinks that's
My mind is about 3,000 square feet, you know. And we don't want to repeat that.
Okay, well.
We can't afford to repeat that.
Well, we can certainly make a condition of the approval that it be no grocery stores. Or if the board thinks the 3,100 is too big, these are just lines that were drawn based on input of who might come. You tell us what size is the biggest you want, and that'll be the limit.
Well, we're gonna circle back circle back. Yes, okay. Any other questions?
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to bounce, need some calculations here. It says 7,123 square feet, 36 spaces, right?
Well, the footprint of the retail is 8,640 square feet, and 1 per 200, that's 43 spaces that are needed.
Right, so you're only using the usable space in the calculation.
No, the 8,640 is we're right, the 7,000 was what New Lines originally submitted, it was the usable space.
Okay.
When we go with the gross, which is what the ordinance says, that's where we need 43 spaces. And my testimony is that we'll tighten it up to get to 43 spaces, or we'll shrink the building to be 250 square feet or whatever it is.
So how many spaces do you have there now?
We have 41 spaces.
Okay. Now what do you have for the second floor?
Second floor is storage only.
What does that mean?
That means,
You have elevators, handicap bathrooms, bathrooms, staircases. What are you, 4 spaces? Are you kidding me?
He's got 1, 2.
We can vote on this now.
4 bathrooms on the second floor.
Yeah, I know. I'm ready to vote on it now, so if you want.
With an elevator back.
If you know what I mean.
but if the bathrooms up there are.
Oh, no. That's not the problem.
It is for.
I think you need another 45 parking spots.
So just to be clear, because we have no basement, it's on a slab, all the upstairs spaces for storage of the storage below. We have no problem removing and doing any conditions the board wants to make sure, to make you comfortable. We have no problem taking the bathrooms or one section.
The only thing that would make me comfortable is removing the second floor.
Well, could we restrict the height of the second floor to a height that would allow for storage, but not allow for any of the use.
How about you put in your basement and take out the second floor?
The water, is water table issue, we can't do this.
So you're trying to tell me you have legitimate storage in the attic?
Yes, and we were willing to remove the bathrooms and agree on any other condition that the board is comfortable with. It's literally only for storage.
Hold on, he's selecting on this second floor over here. How do we know that the shoe's not gonna come in over here? Or the social hall, or the social hall gathering down the road?
7.5 feet high.
Not down the road.
If we make the.
I know, you can make it 7.5 as long as the drop ceiling, and then take the drop ceiling out, and everything's beautiful.
But we could.
Well, wouldn't it be helpful if there's no bathrooms upstairs?
We'll agree to all those
Bad
conditions.
things come up.
Yeah, they could put a bathroom after.
The
What is?
The storage, so here, no respect.
Explain to me.
You have a retail store. You store things somewhere, correct?
Yeah, in a basement, in a shed, or.
Correct, so we cannot, but we would love to put a basement, but we cannot.
Well, one thing is, so who's the storage for? Let me just finish it.
So the retail on the first floor, we could break, it's gonna be broken up.
And
It's not gonna be outside, rentals of storage, it's gonna be literally just, storage for and inner building.
Every retail store I know, it's not 50-50 space for storage. I mean, you have 8,000 square feet for retail space, and 8,000 feet for storage. It's like begging for.
This is a basement above the.
I know. This is Lakewood. It's begging for corruption. I just
Provide
can't.
rooms in the house, provide rooms in the bathrooms, and we'll make that suggestion.
We have to have one person talk at a time, please.
I'm not suggesting, I'm suggesting no floor, but I'm willing to hear what they're suggesting.
We would like to have storage for the tenants.
I know.
If there's a reasonable compromise, we're happy to.
Let me ask you a question. I don't see any way how you can get up there with storage for the tenants if there's only two staircases on either side of the plan. If it's storage for the tenants, each tenant should have its own way of getting up there.
Well, the staircases that going up there have access from the outside.
I understand, Brian. The way it's set up here, it's old Lakewood. It means 2 basements, 14, an attic apartment,
Okay,
basement apartment.
so.
Come back with a new plan. I don't want to vote on this.
Anyone from the public want to be heard? 4197?
Sir, would you rate, do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, so help you God?
I affirm, Moshe Zionist, 1163 Evergreen Avenue, Lakewood, New Jersey. When this came for a use variance, unless there was another retail, like literally next door, I believe this is what we're talking about, Mr. Linkry stipulated, along with the only mom and pop stores, he stipulated that they should come back with 125% of parking. Not like exact parking, one up, one down. That's not what this board was talking about. You said 125% parking. That was the condition of the motion.
I this guy for as a retailer.
Okay, anything else?
Well, if they have a plan with 125% parking, they might look at more of the plan and talk more, but
The applicant has heard the board, and we're gonna come back with it.
Come back with
125% parking.
This is a use variance, it's still live, but this, use variance, I said, use variance is live, but this.
I'm okay with variables, the whole thing, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Just
And have a motion
next to this point,
Jerry, are you putting a motion to deny this plan or?
We're asking carry the application to submit a revised.
Wait, we're up to a motion. Do we put a motion in or use variance?
How long will it take for you to bring the revised plans? We don't want to wait 3 months pending. You can withdraw without prejudice and bring it back if you want. How long will it take to bring in revised plans?
I anticipate New Lines could submit revised plans within 2 weeks. So we will be on the November meeting. We would ask to be carried to the December
I mean,
meeting.
you should notice again because you're
Yes,
revised.
yes.
Okay, so, I have a motion to table 4197 Orange School to December 6th meeting. Motion by Judah Ribbiat. Second by Vice Chancellor. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Yes, with
Yes.
And your developer escrow account is sufficient, have somebody.
Mr. Cleveland.
Yes.
Mr. Langley.
Yes.
Mr. Vivian.
Yes.
Mr. Inger.
Yes.
And Mr. Halberstam.
Yes. Okay, moving on to our last update for tonight, 2209, Abraham Miller. Abraham Miller.
That's 102 Milton Street, lot 104.01, 14 R12 zone, to construct a single-family
This is
home.
gonna take
Requesting variance for height of 39 feet, where 35 is required.
patient people.
Last application tonight. This is 54, it's 9 o'clock. Right, okay. Can I have that file? Give me that. Your file. Can I move this one? One second, what is this? Wait, here, let's just move on. No. Okay, I just want to see this application that he has over here.
4209, Dave.
4209, you ready to the record already?
Yes.
Okay. Just for the record, Mayor Gelli arrived for this last application, and Weishinger is dismissed. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you,
One second, I have to help you bring them.
Fran, did you read this into the record? You already did? Mr. Flannery, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, so help you God?
I do. Brian Flannery, Jackson, New Jersey, licensed professional engineer, professional planner. The applicant, Mr. and Mrs. Filler, are here this evening. They want to build a beautiful house on a lot that needs to be redeveloped and things like that. I would almost call this a regular, but, I don't want to push my luck. So, looking at, Terry's report, it's a corner lot, so it's a hardship complying with, 2 front setback variances. I have, 3 exhibits here this evening. Sheet 37 at the map shows the subject lot. It's on the corner of Milton and Coleman Avenue. It's in the vicinity of Swanton and Kennedy Boulevard. A2 is the map, the variance map submitted by New Lines, which shows the house on the property, and they're looking to put a beautiful house on the property. A3 is the architectural plan that was submitted.
One second.
What is A2?
A2 is the variance map that was submitted by New Lines. So
You got to A3, was there more than A3?
no, we don't need anything more than A3. It's like,
What is A3?
A3 is the
Architectural plans.
plan. So we're looking for a front yard setback on Coleman of 25 where 30 is required. And again, we have a corner lot, so it's got 2 front setbacks. We're going to comply with the front setback on Milton. But actually on the map, we're asking for 25 on Milton and 30 foot, we're going to comply with on Coleman. Rear yard setback, 20 feet is required, we're proposing 14.67. The building coverage, we're looking for 37.21 where 30 feet is required. And the building height, we're looking for 39 feet where 35 maximum is allowed. If you look at the plans, the first floor plan, they're looking for a 12 foot. They're looking to do a beautiful building, a beautiful home, to fit in the neighborhood.
So there's a use variance required because of the height?
Correct. Yes.
What's the height of it?
The height is 39 feet, and if the board feels that 39 is too high, we can certainly trim
If
it
a
down.
half a foot, if it had been a half a foot less, it would really need a C variance.
Correct.
Right.
Because it is more than 10% of 35 feet, it's a D variance.
Or we can
We're
just
talking
vote
6
the whole,
inches.
we can vote for the house without the height.
Well, you can add, or that, you can
Well,
vote the house with the height.
if
It's a half a foot.
if the board feels 39 is too high, we would certainly reduce it to the 38.5, where it's just a C variance.
It's not a question of C variance at this moment, a C variance or D variance. The question is 39 too high.
Yes.
Let's just keep it to the regular height.
Well, the
Or a little bit higher.
the regular height isn't going to accommodate the nice house that the applicant would like.
What's the regular height?
The regular height is 35.
35. So we can go to 37, 38.
Chairman, there's been notice to the public, perhaps there's someone from the public who wants to testify with regard to that variance application.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's leave the discussion on the height, for a moment.
Okay.
Because 39 might be too high.
Yes.
But let's look at the rest of the application.
Okay, so I went through the other variances needed. I'd like to quickly get on the record. The justification based on the 2017 master plan on page 2, it talks about the population growth and all the growth that the town is anticipating, and it concludes on page 3, based on this information, it's important Lakewood plan for residential development to house its growing population. We have end users here who want to do a beautiful house. It's going to cost them more money to build it. That's more in taxes. That's where we get into the rateable. I don't think I had Mr. Langford's attention on that. The 2017 master plan on the vision statement also said encourage development and redevelopment based on smart growth planning principles. And I know a lot of the board members go out and look at these sites before the meeting, and anyone who's looked at the house that's there in that neighborhood, it's a neighborhood that has been redeveloping. The house that's there has been in need of redevelopment for a long time. The applicant is going to put a beautiful house on that lot. The municipal land use law, NJSA 40:55B2, under the purpose of the Act, is encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use and development of all lands of the state in a manner which will promote public health, safety, and general welfare. It's my testimony that this will do that. In addition, E is to promote the establishment of appropriate population densities and concentration that will contribute to the well-being of persons, neighborhoods, and the environment. And this is a property that's in an R12 zone. The lot size conforms, so it's my testimony that this does this. So now we get down to the variances that are requested. It's the front yard setback of 25 feet, where 30 feet is required. It's a corner lot, in order to have the house accommodate.
Does that interfere with site triangle because you're at 25 feet?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
The rear yard setback is 14.67, where 20 feet is required. And this is typical to a side yard because that's the property line that comes out to Coleman. So the property owner to the side, they're getting 14.67, where a side yard setback would have been 10. The building coverage of 37%, where 30% is allowed. I'd like to use the de minimis word, but I don't think anybody would agree with me that that's de minimis. But I think when you look at putting a house here for an end user who's a developer asking for that, it will be one situation. This is an applicant that's trying to accommodate his family with a beautiful home in Lakewood. And then the building height, and I think at this point, we'd like to say we'll reduce it, because we can reduce the 6 inches relatively easy and make it 38.5, which only requires a C variance, unless Mr. Zinas gets up and thinks that 39 is good and has some compelling testimony.
Okay. So let me tell you my thought on this. I would say that this is a pretty aggressive slide on the front yard and rooftop height over here. However, the only little factor that I have on this one is that it's in the dead end area of Milton and Coleman, which is nothing there. You can hardly, it's a dead street primarily.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I agree.
There's nothing there. So guys, yes, you need. It is a drop too high. It is a drop too wide. This would be anywhere on a normal street. I would probably would be very against it.
The applicant shows an unfinished basement. Is that going to be separate living quarters? And if so, will there be a separate entrance?
There'll be one outside entrance to the basement, maximum one outside entrance to the basement. When you look at the architectural plans, the architectural upgrades are already there, and we would agree to the typical architectural upgrades of 1/3 stone, stucco, or the few people that go by it are gonna say it's a beautiful house.
Brian, I see here a double set of stairs, a circular stairs over there.
That's a beautiful foyer.
It's his and her stairs.
Well, apparently this gentleman, is making something very nice for his wife, and my wife sees that, she's gonna want it. Hope she's not watching.
I hope you see your wife fully planned. Brian, it's gonna be like the right side or the left side of the stairs?
Down those stairs.
Right down those stairs, okay. Put the chair look on me, right? Okay, guys, here's my comment. Go up to the public, anyone in the public want to say something?
You guys not saying anything?
Oh, wow.
That said something.
Keep going. Quickly.
Brian, I'm looking at the plan, is this on the right side of the house? Is that the exterior basement house? Which is next to the home office? And the study? And the guest sitting room? And the guest sitting room?
On the left side.
On the left side?
No, I'm sorry, you.
On the right side. On the right side. Yeah, there's an entrance, and that's the right side, which actually comes in off of Coleman Avenue. And you can see, he's had a couple parking spaces on Milton, a couple parking places there, and that's access to the, where the guest room and sitting room, and also gets into the court.
Okay, so in the guest sitting room, it looks like, I don't know if that's a television or a big fat sink there. Which one is it? Huh? Is that a kitchen, by the way? Is there a
But
kitchen?
the intention is.
One second, you want to come up, you can come up.
No, I reviewed with the applicant, the intention is that his parents,
Okay, so is his parents going to be living there, or his parents are going to be visiting? Which one is it? I mean?
More or less be with you also.
Okay, so is that going to be a mother-daughter apartment, which needs to be open completely?
well, it is open completely.
Without any walls, without any barriers between them? No?
It can't be, you can't really go through.
What's that? Can't be able to close wall.
We can't be a closed wall, we don't have a closed wall.
So is this is going to be a separate apartment, mother-daughter?
It's gonna be separate living areas for his parents.
So is that going to be a mother-daughter, or is it going to be an apartment?
It's not, it's not.
Well, it wouldn't be an apartment if there's open, if the.
Yes,
it's open.
it's not an apartment because it's open to the rest of the house.
Is there a
There's
separate
no door separating this apartment from the rest of the house?
There is a door separating the guest rooms from the rest of the house.
Okay, so
Which
the
is-
guest room, guest sitting room, and then it's coming into the steps, and it says up over there. So where exactly is the opening?
Well, you come in the door from, Coleman, and you go up the steps, and then you can go into the home office.
Right, you go in Coleman.
You can go into the home office.
Right.
You can go into the guest sitting room, or you can go into the foyer.
It's the home office. Okay.
There's no outside door to this separate area, correct?
Again, this.
Yes, yes. Coming in from Coleman, there's a door from Coleman that gets you into this area. This gentleman and his wife are right here. They're not renting this out.
Okay.
They're a young couple that are gonna be living in this house and have accommodation for his parents.
So the step going in is goes up, just a few steps up?
Yes.
Okay, so nothing going to the second floor here?
No, nothing going to the
And it's
second.
not going to the basement either?
No, to get to the second floor, you have to go into the foyer and go up, either the husband's or the wife's step.
Okay, I do have one question. I'd like to really address this at the end. I just want to know who negotiated that his and her closets, the hers is not that much bigger than his. Just something I'd like to bring to the attention. You still have a chance to change this.
You're assuming the gentleman gets a whole closet.
Maybe we should make that as a
Is that
condition.
for real? Is that actually in his closet?
Everybody's got their own closet these days.
Good, there's another apartment in the room together.
I'll have a word with the architect.
Okay, we have it open to the public, not close to the public. Can I have a final comment or a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, and second.
Second by Mayor Gelli. Madam Secretary, roll call, please. Motion Langley and Mayor Gelli.
Motion Langley and Gelli. This is, Mr. Gelli.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Lieberman.
Yes.
Mr. Langley.
Yes.
Mr. Vivian.
Yes.
Mr. Halberstam.
Yes. Good night, Mr. Larkin. Enjoy the home.
Very much.
Thank you very much.
That's definitely a great idea.
Moving forward, our resolutions.
Chairman, Mr. Abadi asked if we could hold on one resolution and don't approve it because they haven't seen it yet.
What would you say?
Mr. Abadi came to me earlier and said, could we hold on memorializing 4205 resolution?
Why does it happen? Which one was that?
Harvard Street is a use variance for the height of the construction of the duplex.
So what can issue then?
I'm sorry?
Is there an issue with it?
He said to get a chance to look at it.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
Are we hurting anything? Are we
Can't be approved until you vote.
Are we being hurt by holding off? No? Okay.
Works against it.
How many resolutions? We're good. Okay, how many resolutions?
A lot of them, so you can vote to approve them all with the exception of,
Okay.
we're gonna carry on 4205.
Okay, are we all in favor of the resolution? Can we look at numbers, please? Except.
4205.
With the exception of 4205. Franny?
4173, Doobie Holdings, 4158, 1364 River, 3922.
Hold on. That's wrong. Okay, go ahead, fine, go ahead.
3922 is 1500 Prospect Street, that's to amend the resolution.
Yes.
4194, Mishalom Gelam. 4195 is Sahaba Friedman.
Wait, the Sahaba Freedom was the one that we made them remove the deck.
That is correct.
Okay, that's exactly what we're doing, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And it says that we're gonna
4199 is
contact.
Abraham Joseph.
Yes, that's for 11 feet, go ahead.
4200 is Shlomo Mendlowitz.
Okay.
4203 is Sharon Mosen. And 4205, we're holding off until the next meeting?
Yes. Before we go, are all in favor of the resolution?
Yes.
Yes, all in favor, aye. All in favor of paying bills?
Paying bills.
Paying bills, all in favor of calling tonight's meetings are closed?
They have to offer you something.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Very nice to see you, sir.
Franny, we must have papers. This internet computer.
This was the meeting that was out the last 2 weeks.
So we have to get papers.
Okay.
Okay.
They want papers. Here, I need you.
What do you need?
I got it.
You're okay? What do you need?
I need you to have a cup of coffee on the way out.
I'm gonna pick up the Can you turn off this camera in the back?
You have to wait 1 second.
I will do it.
You can't turn it. No, you can't, because it's still like that. 1 minute, 1 minute.